Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
In December of 2019, some astronomers started to report that the star known as Betelgeuse in the constellation Orion was starting to dim very drastically. Its luminosity was decreasing quite dramatically, and this was visible even to the naked eye. The dimming peaked in mid-February of 2020, where the star reached just 35% of its original brightness. The brightness went back again, but the astronomy community was intrigued. What had just happened? Many speculated that the star was probably going supernova when it started to dim, and this was very exciting because it's a once-in-a-lifetime event. When a supernova occurs, it can even be visible with the naked eye because it is momentarily brighter than the sun. However, a new study was published this week made from observations by the Very Large Telescope VLT in Chile. This showed that Betelgeuse's dimming was concentrated only in the southern hemisphere and was likely caused by nothing but a cloud of dust. In this video, let's discuss all about Betelgeuse, why it is called that, what we know about the star, why it dimmed, and if it's going to explode in a supernova anytime soon. I'm Sandhya Ramesh and this is Pure Science. Betelgeuse is a red supergiant. It belongs to the category of all the largest known stars in the universe. If it were to replace our sun in the solar system, its radius would extend beyond the asteroid belt, likely all the way up to Jupiter. It is the 10th brightest star in the night sky, and it appears distinctly reddish in color. When the star was born, it was around 20 times the mass of the sun, and today, at just 10 million years old, it is much younger than the sun. However, its high mass allowed it to evolve quite rapidly, and now it has 900 times the radius of the sun. It is relatively close to us at just 550 light years away. Coupled with this close distance and its large size and brightness, it is one of the more well-imaged and well-studied stars. Today, Betelgeuse is at a stage in its life where it's starting to transition from fusing hydrogen in its core to fusing helium, having nearly fused all the hydrogen into helium. As it cools and expands and ages, it will start fusing heavier and heavier elements in its core before imploding into itself. This implosion is the supernova, and when a supernova occurs, the star blows off all its outer layers. Once that is done, what is left is called a remnant, which is categorized as a compact object. There are only 3 types of compact objects. These are white dwarfs, neutron stars, and black holes. Because its brightness was varying so much, many people started to speculate that it was going supernova right now. Now meaning we're getting to see it now, but it actually happened 550 years ago. Because we've imaged the stars so extensively, astronomers started to do a before and after comparison of the star before and after dimming. This analysis started to show some things that could potentially explain the dimming. And to understand that, let's sidetrack a little bit and look at what we know about Betelgeuse and how it behaves. Betelgeuse is actually a runaway star. It is not associated with any cluster or star-forming region, and we don't even know where it was born. It also likely does not have any planets associated with it. So far, we've had some doubts, but nothing has been verified, and we've discovered no planet so far. When the star was discovered, it was named Alpha Orionis in 1603. The name of the star itself can be pronounced in 4 different ways. There's Betelgeuse, 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 Betelgeuse. It's just easier to pronounce it Betelgeuse. But the name actually comes from the Arabic Ibit al-Jawza, which means Orion's armpit. Of course, Arabic astronomers and actually astronomers going way back in history have recorded the star because of its characteristic red color and its distinct brightness. The Roman astronomer Ptolemy noted in his works that the star was reddish in color. If we go back to Timur dynasty, Timur or Tamerlane founded it. His son was Shahrukh, and Shahrukh's son was Velo Beg or Uncle Big. He was also an astronomer and mathematician who lived in the early 1400s, and he was responsible actually for compiling the most extensive and accurate star catalogue called Z.G. Sultani. In that, he makes the description of Betelgeuse and describes it as red. In the Arctic, the star is just called large star because it is overhead and actually looks quite bright. So the star has been tracked through history. With that confidence, we can go back 3 centuries even before Ptolemy. In the 1st century BCE, Sima Chen, the father of Chinese historiography, had written a list of star colors where he described the white like Sirius, the red like Antares, the yellow like Betelgeuse, and the blue like Bellatrix. The colors of all the other stars are correct, but Betelgeuse is described as yellow, which is why astronomers think that in the beginning of the Christian era, with the BC to AD, the star was actually in its yellow supergiant phase. A star that starts out with being 20 times as massive as the Sun or more, as Betelgeuse was, goes through white to yellow to red. The yellow to red phase change occurs when the surface temperatures drop from about 5500 Kelvin to 4000 Kelvin, and this could take a time period of up to 2000 years. An expert thinks that lines up with what the Chinese texts also show. The dimming or change in the brightness of Betelgeuse isn't new either. It has actually been observed through history as well, and variations in its brightness have been recorded. This is especially true in modern history. It was first documented in meticulous detail by John Herschel, the English astronomer. From 1836 to 40, it brightened and actually became brighter than Rigel, the other star in the Orion constellation that is actually brighter. Then it dimmed again for 10 years, and then it again started to vary by the 1850s, and then this stopped. Then in the 1900s, it went from its minimum brightness in 1927 to a peak in 1933 to another minimum in 1941 to another high in 1942. Once again, in the 60s, there were some variations, but from about 80s to 90s to up until now, February 2020 was its maximum faintness. At the time, it went from being the top 10 brightest stars in the night sky to not even being in the top 20. But what does it mean if a star's brightness keeps changing like this? We already have the answer to this, and that is that basically Betelgeuse is a variable star. Technically, it's a semi-regular variable star that shows changes in its brightness. These variable stars are pulsating. They cool and they heat, which means they expand and shrink, so their diameter changes with time, as does luminosity. It is thought that when the star was actually discovered, it was named Alpha Orionis and not Beta because it at that time was likely brighter than Rigel. Variable stars are very difficult to study to obtain detailed characteristics. As their diameter shrinks and expands, the matter that is emitted from these stars will hang around in its vicinity and it will cloud up the observations of the star. This makes it very difficult to discern the edge or even the photosphere of the star. Betelgeuse is a slow rotator. It spins at a speed of 5.45 kilometers per second, which means it takes the star 36 years to spin once around its axis. The sun spins much slower at just about 2 kilometers per second, but it's much smaller and takes only about 27 days for one rotation. Betelgeuse is also at a very late phase in its evolution, so it tends to lose mass regularly and at a very high rate, at about 1 solar mass every 10,000 years. So the environment around the star is constantly changing and muddled up and is in a flux. It's very hard to study. There are just too many things happening for everything to make perfect sense. Now, the astronomers who were studying the VLT data noticed that Betelgeuse did not dim overall in brightness. In fact, the dimming was concentrated to only one patch in the southern hemisphere. And to them, this indicated that there was likely an obstruction between the star and the Earth rather than the star itself dimming. Now the team thinks that this likely could have been caused by a combination of a cooling event as well as a localized large cloud of dust. The two theories have been proposed before, but independently. We already know that the star expands and shrinks, and this causes heating and cooling via convection. Astronomers also observed in 2018, 1 year before the dimming event began, that the star had actually given itself a bit of a shake and dropped some mass by expelling large quantities of gas. Now, the new study states that it is actually likely a combination of both this cooling event as well as this gas expulsion that caused the dimming. They think that what actually could have happened was that there was a cooling event in the star's southern hemisphere, and this convective cell cooled the local environment, which in turn caused the recently released gas to just accumulate and form dust, and end of story. And so, from all appearances, it seems we are at the anticlimactic ending to this excitement about a potentially once in a lifetime event. But while the findings do not support an ongoing supernova event, they do not contradict the fact that Betelgeuse is still expected to go supernova sometime soon in the future. This event would occur suddenly and rapidly. It's impossible to predict it well ahead in time, but we have a lot of time because it is thought that this will happen within the next 100,000 years before the star dies. The findings, however, are still extremely valuable to the field of stellar physics research. They raise questions such as whether other supergiants also undergo their own dimming events, and they also offer insights into the life cycle of such large stars, and of course, they also help us understand the future of our own star better.